Okay, well, good morning again. My name is Matt Bromley with the Focus on Energy team. Very happy you're able to join us this morning. We have a pretty aggressive schedule here that I'll run through really quickly. Very exciting that very shortly you'll hear from our new Managing Director for Focus on Energy, Lisa Stefanik. Lisa joined us a couple months ago, and she's really busy learning all the ins and outs of the program and the operations, and just really doing a wonderful job of balancing all the different demands on her time now. So we're very glad that she's going to be able to join us this morning. And I know some of you have already met her, but this is a good opportunity for her to introduce herself to the broader utility partners that are out there. I'll then spend just a couple minutes reviewing some of our key program performance highlights for this year. Then I'll turn it over to our programs team, led by our business and residential program managers, Courtney Wolk and Dylan Cry, to go over the program offerings for 2022. What's new, what's not, very important. I know you guys are always interested in hearing about that. Then we'll have Sherry Milam review our scheduled trainings for 2022, the ones that we have planned now, and I think there are more coming. I'll talk a little bit about our innovation and research and development items that we categorize or call our future focus. Then I'll have our marketing director, Chris Schultz-Buchner, talk about some really fun marketing initiatives, including a new brand awareness effort that will debut next year, and also walk through our marketing calendar for 2022, and also give us an update on our rescheduled 20th anniversary event. We had initially scheduled a celebration of the 20th anniversary of Focus on Energy this past October, but due to the lingering COVID issues and our really want of having an in-person event, we decided to postpone that until next spring. So she'll give an update on that effort. So it will really be our 21st anniversary, but it doesn't have the same ring to it as a 20th anniversary. And then Frank Barth will wrap things up with an overview of some of the resources we have available for you guys, marketing resources, etc. And also he's going to talk a little bit about a initiative that he's heading up in which to get our utilities more connected and engaged with our Focus Energy advisors. So there's a better coordination in reaching those key account customers for utilities. And Frank's been working with some of the municipal and the smaller utilities and trying to enhance that relationship better. So really good stuff. So with that, I'm going to turn off my camera and turn it over to Lisa Stefanik.
Wonderful. Thanks so much, Matt, for the introduction. And I just want to welcome everyone to this meeting today. It's wonderful to be here. A little bit about me for folks who may not have crossed my path before. I feel like many of you I have worked with in my career, and some are brand new to me this morning. So a brief summary of my background is I actually started my energy sector career working for the Focus on Energy program back in 2004. I was the Focus Renewable Energy Marketing Manager in 2004. And for the next several years, continued to work in energy. I worked at the PSC through 2006 and 2011 as their policy advisor, and then took a turn and worked in energy efficiency evaluation for many years in the years to follow. So I've been working for the last 10 or so years in the consulting industry on evaluation and technology, really focused on project management and building great teams there. And I'm very, very excited just excited to turn back to focus on energy and be in this chair here and lead this team into our next several years of working with you and your customers and members. So I think that Matt has in place for me today to sort of give that high level overview of 2022 priorities. You'll probably hear themes about these items again and again throughout the presentation this morning. But I'm in that honorable position of teeing up what our priorities are for the next year. So looking forward to that next year, our first priority, of course, is to finish really strong. 2022 is that final year in our 4-year program cycle, and we're working and will continue to work to complete some of those outstanding projects with you and your customers and get those energy savings that your customers need and deliver that customer satisfaction and economic benefits that we've been in the position to do and partner with you on in the last few years. We're also continuing to adapt. Like you, we've felt those impacts of COVID, and we continue to address things that we're seeing and feeling in the program. Like many of you, I'm sure supply chain issues are hitting, and we're aware of labor shortages in the markets. And we're doing our very best to mitigate those items, but still maintain that cost effectiveness and those high levels of customer satisfaction while we do that. As always, we're really focused on meeting the needs of your utility and cooperative partners and your customers and members, and that remains a priority in 2022 and beyond. And then finally, we're going to be serving as a resource. Quad Planning 4 is coming up, planning the next program cycle for 2023 through 2026. And we're supporting that planning process and just really making sure that our program is well positioned to achieve the future goals and objectives of the program. With that, I wanted to draw your attention to the Quadrennial 4 planning timeline that we have here on this slide. Proof that all of our feedback, your stakeholder feedback, is really heard by the Public Service Commission. There's been a small adjustment to the timeline, so we wanted to make sure that we put this in front of you today. Key changes are that the comment periods for the quadrennial planning process have been extended from 2 weeks to 3 weeks, and that was a change that was made because it was a theme in stakeholder comments from this initial cycle on the scoping of the quadrennial planning process earlier this year. So wanted to draw your attention to that and really highlight on this slide that there's new comment phases or expanded comment phases, the next one happening in March. So want to make sure that you're ready for that. Encourage you to participate because stakeholder comments and your participation will shape our future program. So with that, again, thank you, Matt, for the opportunity to say hi to everyone today. I hope that in future forums, we might be back in person. If you're ever in Madison, ping me, let me know. I'd love to meet you in person. So thank you.
Great, thanks, Lisa.
You bet.
I appreciate that. All right, let's take a quick look at our program performance, and wanted to share with you just a couple of our key performance metrics for this year. The first one we'll look at here is energy savings. You know, as Lisa mentioned, we operate on a 4-year program period and cycle. The PSC sets energy saving goals for the program to achieve over those 4 years. Our current energy savings goals just shy of 283 million gross life cycle MMBTUs. And so each line on this graph represents a year in the quad so far and the energy savings achievement for that year. To reach the 283 million goal, we use internally a kind of annual guidepost of about $70 million a year, which is reflected in that dotted line near the top. As you can see, you know, pretty obviously the impact of COVID on the program in 2019, which is that top darker line. You know, the program was running very strongly. We had a lot of participation, exceeded well above the 70 million guidepost for that year. And then 2020 came, and you can pretty much tell exactly when the epidemic hit. March and April and May, you see the deviation between the tracks there between 2019 and 2020. This year, we're again continuing to feel the impacts of COVID. At least a lot of the larger projects from manufacturers and large industry, were put on hold last year, and it's taken a while. It will take a while for that to rebound and get those back into the planning processes. So we're running behind what we had the previous 2 years for 2021. We do have a lot of projects that we'll be processing over the next few weeks before the end of the year. So we are forecasting to finish pretty strongly this last month as we get those applications processed, and looks like we'll come up a little short of the 70 million, but we're forecasting about 65 million MMBTUs for this year. So got our work cut out for us next year, but hopefully with some of the modifications and some of the outreach we're doing, and hopefully the situation improves with our supply chain issues and labor shortage issues, and we can get and achieve more savings next year. The second important performance metric is customer satisfaction. This bar graph shows the customer sat ratings for the various programs through the first quarter of this year. The left-hand blue bars are our business programs, and the green are our residential programs. This visual is a bit misleading and shows a more dramatic difference between the programs than it should. Partly, or it's due most because of the intervals I use on the left-hand side, which are a tenth of a point. But the takeaway from this is all the programs are performing very well in terms of customer satisfaction. All are above our portfolio goal of 8.9 on a scale of 0 to 10. Our portfolio weighted average, I believe, through this year is around 9.4. So all are doing extremely well, and we're very happy with this performance. And I know this is an important statistic for you, making sure that your customers are satisfied with the program. Now I'll turn it over to our programs team for updates, and I believe Dylan is first up to give residential updates.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. Dylan Cry, Residential Portfolio Manager. So yeah, this morning for residential, I have a few updates to core programs that we'll go over, and then a number of interesting new pilots and offerings. So for the 2022 residential core programs, no major changes as far as what we are offering. We still have basic HVAC, shell measures, retail lighting discounts, free packs, online marketplace, etc. So a couple of the bigger updates here. So free packs. So this past summer, we did change the eligibility from a rolling 3-year to a rolling 1-year. And then we've additionally decided that in 2022, we'd like to change that to eligibility based on simply a calendar year. It's a lot easier for our customers to understand and just an easier process to deliver in general. So just an update there, we will be making that change. One other update for our free packs, we will be adding back the advanced power strips pack. So we should have 6 coming in 2022. There were some changes to kind of savings and what we can claim, and it made it a pack that we could include again. So look forward to having that available as a new pack again in 2022 for your customers. The Smart Thermostat $25 bonus, that was enacted this year at the end of the year here. We will be extending that $25 bonus through Q1 of 2022. We did get some feedback from some of our utility partners that they were interested in supporting their customers as they face some higher energy costs this winter, particularly, right, we've heard of rising natural gas costs and such. So to support those ratepayers, we'd like to extend this smart thermostat bonus through Q1 of 2022. In many cases, ratepayers would see maybe a single month of their higher energy costs by the end of this year, and so this gives them additional opportunities to take advantage and get a smart thermostat in their home. Another big update for residential is we will be adding some more natural gas water heaters to the program. So this will be through our upstream offers at retail, and we'll be adding some to midstream as well, which I'll touch on a bit later. But this will be a $50 natural gas storage water heater discount available at select retailers. It will be in that upstream model, so it'll be an instant discount. Right now, I believe we're working with Home Depot and Lowe's and potentially targeting Menards as well, and possibly a few others there. So next slide, please. A couple new measures on the HVAC side. So boilers, got some new evaluation results here. We will have a new lower tier, so 90 to 94% natural gas boilers. So we'll have the $300 standard incentive and $400 for income qualified. Additionally, same AFUE levels, but for the combination boiler, we'll have standard incentives of $400 and an income qualified level of $550. And then one small increase for the income qualified combination boiler of 95% plus AFUE. Next slide, please. Thank you. Residential new construction. So actually no changes here, but we did want to share this information with you as we had launched this new program design just last year. So more of a refresher. So no particular changes this year. Just wanted to put this back in front of you. So incentives are capped at $4,000 per home. We've got the incentive levels listed there. I won't read those off for you. And then just a reminder that there are some bonus incentives available for the very high tier efficiency furnaces, additional insulation, as well as the heat pump water heaters. All right, and jumping into our pilots. So we do have a number of pilots going on this year as well, continuing into next year, and new pilots for next year as well. So a couple quick updates on our 2021 pilots. So our Safe to Give behavioral pilot, we have wrapped up phase 1. That was in the communities of Lodi as well as Bayfield County. Bit of mixed results for phase 1, which is good. We did have success in Lodi. 138 homes participated, which was approximately 12% of the community. And we were able to donate over $12,000 to the local nonprofits. So there's a ton of interest generated there. Great community to work with. Had over 94% pilot satisfaction in that community. And an estimated average savings of almost 5% electric savings. You can see on the right here is, this was Susie the Duck Days. That is Susie the Duck at the local event there in Lodi, and giving away the check to the charities, so that was fun. Our second community for phase 1 was Bayfield County. We did have some challenges up north in Bayfield County. This was the same size population, but it was much more geographically dispersed. They had over 3 times the area, and so there was less sense of community. There was definitely some learning moments there, and we took those and brought those into phase 2. For instance, there was only 3 nonprofits in Lodi. In Bayfield County, we did allow 7. And it was just, so there was less dollars kind of going to each, and kind of less call to action. So for phase 2, we did take some learnings from the first phase. We have chosen New Richmond and Mount Horeb as our communities to work with. Both are very tight-knit communities, which we learned is helpful in this pilot. And then we'll be going to 3 campaigns versus only 2 in phase 1. So they'll be slightly shorter. Phase 1 had, it was 2 8-week-long campaigns, and in phase 2 we'll be doing month-long campaigns over 3. So also the evolution of the My Meter app. There will be a phone app coming, and then we're also hoping to do some pack ordering within the MyMeter tool as well to further incorporate the behavioral pilot into MyMeter. So next slide, please. All right, a couple updates on pilots that have been running this year already. So multifamily strategic energy management. We have recruited 6 property management companies into our first cohort. We are targeting traditional SEM improvements. So that would be, scheduling HVAC upgrades, et cetera, in the buildings themselves. But then we're also targeting 3,500 residential units. So we had our first kickoff meeting in October of this year. We're currently doing energy scans on the buildings, planning operation and maintenance meetings with the company staff, as well as resident engagement workshops to start in January of next year. And then our other pilot that's currently running, so the Healthy Homes pilot, this one's been a little bit longer running, a little bit smaller effort, a little more targeted. We have engaged 2 healthcare providers to date. That was in the La Crosse and the Eau Claire areas. And the idea was to provide home improvements for families with asthmatic children. There is this overlap of energy use and energy savings in a home and health in the home, indoor air quality, et cetera. We've all learned a lot about that in the past couple of years. The aim of this pilot was to leverage additional funding from the healthcare industry to get more projects done. And a great place to start, right, is working with asthmatic children and their families. So we have trained a few trade allies to provide healthy home assessments. We have been into a number of homes. We learned a lot in this process. The healthcare industry is certainly an interesting one to try to get into and speak with folks. It is obviously a whole nother world. So COVID-19, of course, has made it difficult to connect with pulmonary doctors or those dealing with lung issues. So we continue to strive on. We have some promising leads on partnerships. So hopefully to see some really good progress in 2022 on those. All right, our upcoming new construction pilots. So we've got 2. The first is the Building Performance Consultants Training Pilot. So this aims to basically bring on some new building performance consultants. The average age of our current group of building performance consultants does skew a bit older. At some point, we no longer will have building performance consultants to help us with this work. So the goal is to target 10 candidates for this position and to grow the pool of certified HERS raters in Wisconsin so that we can continue to offer the residential new construction program. The other pilot is our electric new homes pilot. So this will be in propane, primarily propane heated areas. So we're not targeting anything natural gas with this. And we'll be targeting technology training, energy monitoring, and enhanced incentives as part of that pilot. All right, and a couple other potential 2022 pilots. So both of these are going to be targeting first cost barriers and deal with financing, but from slightly different angles. So the first is our deep weatherization and performance pilot. We are hoping to do more extensive upgrades to homes where we're pairing multiple upgrades. So if that's primarily shell and HVAC as well. Oftentimes those can be done separately. It's best if we can do it all at once. So this will be offering comprehensive weatherization packages, but the key here is that it's paired with financing as well. We're working with Sealed. They are a provider out of New York, and they provide turnkey offers to customers, and they target the comfort of the home more so than necessarily energy savings. So they have an interesting offer that's still under development. We're working with them, more so targeting Southeast Wisconsin on that. So, and then the other one is the Pay As You Save pilot. So this is an on-bill finance structure that allows investments of the home to be tied to the meter as opposed to an individual. And so there's a lot of benefits to that. There aren't credit checks. You can access renters. There's a lot of benefits to going that route. And so there are multiple versions of on-bill finance. The PAYS model in particular is a tariffed version, which allows for that attachment to the meter. We are working with e-utility to potentially develop an offering here in Wisconsin. They do own the intellectual property for the particular pay-as-you-save model. So a good partner to work with there. If there are any interested utilities that would like to learn more, or please do reach out, myself, Frank, or Matt. And this is still very much in development as well. A few upcoming offerings that aren't necessarily pilots coming up in 2022 on the residential side. So income qualified, there's been a big focus on this lately. We've been looking at this year and will be more so into 2022 as well. Our food bank and nonprofit offerings through retail will continue, and we are still looking to expand those, as well as our tier 2 offerings through the Trade Ally Solutions as well. So that is the HVAC and shell measures with additional incentives will continue, but we are targeting additional income qualified opportunities. So if there are utilities that are have thoughts or are interested in what we can do to partner with you on that, we certainly be interested in hearing from you. Trade Ally training program. So similar to the building performance consultant on the new construction side, but in this particular offering, we are connecting trades locally with high school students and their tech ed teachers. And so we'll be putting together some on-demand videos, a life in the day kind of, of a young tech, so that students can get a feel for what it would be to go into the trades. And some additional recruitment materials, et cetera, to allow local HVAC companies to connect with local school districts. Hopefully you see some good movement there. Manufactured homes. So slightly different issues from traditional site-built homes. Focus hasn't traditionally touched manufactured homes. They can just be a little more difficult to address some of the issues. But we decided it's time to take a look at these. So some shell and HVAC upgrades, belly pans, so that's the insulation underneath the home. They have got typically different kind of issues with ductwork. If you've got, say, a double wide, connections can often come undone up in the attic, can be difficult to reach. So definitely put an offering together to help those folks out. This will be more of a rural focus for us here. And then a tribal offering. We've been working on putting some together for this for a while as well. Definitely still under development here. So yeah, will be a complement to our government offering. Next, please. All right, and that brings us to residential renewables. So again, no changes to the core offerings in 2022. We will have, would like to have an affordable housing PV pilot. Once again, still developing this one as we go here, but targeting income qualified ratepayers. The initial thought is to work through affordable housing providers. So that would be folks like Habitat for Humanity, Urban League, et cetera. And this is based on the recent solar PV potential study. It basically came back and said, income qualified folks will have a very difficult time purchasing and installing solar. So with this in mind, we are looking to cover most, if not all, of the cost to install systems on some new homes there. So. And then one last piece on renewables, there will be a solar ready incentive for new construction on the res and the biz side as well. So look for that coming in Q1. And then our Midstream program. So Midstream has been very much a success in 2021. We will be looking to expand the effort, recruit additional distributors and trade allies, and continue to investigate additional measures to run through our midstream program. We will be adding the natural gas water heater measures to midstream as well. So there will kind of be a dual track availability. A trade ally can go through the distributor and get an instant discount in a wholesale model here through midstream, as well as a trade ally or customer purchasing at retail at some of our select partners. So we're trying to make them as available as possible to folks. So we will have the storage units. That'll be a $50 wholesale incentive, and then tankless units. These will only be available through midstream, not at retail. We will have a qualified product list that is based on Energy Star. And then additionally for midstream, we are expanding slightly the ductless heat pump eligibility. We're going to be including a larger subset of the AHRI category, the very long category of variable speed mini split and multi-split heat pumps. We had been a bit restrictive in 2021. We are expanding that slightly, so there should be more heat pumps, the ductless heat pump varieties available to our customers and contractors. So that should wrap it up for me, and I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Courtney.
Thanks, Dylan. I'm Courtney Wolk. I'm the Business Portfolio Manager for Focus. I'll be providing updates today that would impact your business and industry, schools and government, and new construction customers. Looking ahead to next year, we're not really expecting many changes, at least not significant ones. We'll have some minor adjustments to prescriptive measures and some new opportunities. But outside of that, things should remain relatively the same. We do have some additional offerings planned for 2022, which I'll cover in just a little bit. And as we're looking ahead to next year and closing out this year, we are starting to see a pretty strong pipeline develop for next year. There's definitely been some workforce and supply chain disruptions that are helping to build that pipeline up for next year. So Matt, you can go ahead and go to the next slide. Starting with prescriptive incentive changes, we'll have some increases to boilers, boiler controls, our HVAC and process system steam trap repair and replacements, as well as ECM fan motors for cooler and freezer cases. We will be decreasing the incentives on flex screw-in LED omnidirectional and decorative lamps as well. As it relates to measure changes, we will be eliminating the residential type water heaters. Dylan mentioned that those will now be eligible through midstream. And then on the new construction side, we will be eliminating exterior omnidirectional, decorative, and directional LED lamps. We just didn't see a lot of traction with those, and the savings related to those measures has declined. So those will also be eliminated. On the items being added, fitness centers will now be eligible for the high-use commercial water heater measure, and we'll also be adding a network lighting controls component for new construction lighting. And then lastly, on the prescriptive side, in addition to our traditional PDF and print versions of our catalogs, we are going to be trying out an interactive catalog for next year that should be available nearly around the same time as our other versions are released, which is slated for the end of December. Next slide. For our custom incentives, no changes there. Those will remain at the $100 per kW, 4 cents per kWh, and 80 cents per therm. We do have that bonus available into next year, so that's available right now. That will continue to be available for projects pre-approved by June 30th and complete by October 31st. That will boost those incentive rates to 5 cents per kWh and 95 cents per therm. The kW will remain at $100. We're not making any changes to our minimum payback requirement. That will remain at 1 year. And our incentive caps will also remain unchanged at $300,000 per project and $400,000 per customer a year. On the project assessment incentive, the only change happening there is we will be expanding the eligibility to include all schools and government customers. Right now, it's available for business and industry and wastewater. Next year, all schools and government customers will be able to participate in that. Just a reminder, we do have an increased incentive available for assessments completed through June 30th of next year. They can receive up to $15,000, capped at 50% of the assessment cost or 20% of the annual savings. After June 30th, or assessments completed after June 30th, they would be eligible for our previous rate, which is $7,500 up to that 50% of the cost or 20% of the annual savings. Next slide. For new construction, no changes are planned for the energy design assistance or energy design review. We had rolled out a different incentive structure this year, which was very well received. So we'll be leaving that as is for next year. We also released multifamily product and equipment performance offering this year. That is a comprehensive approach to offering incentives for multifamily new construction projects. It has a workbook that guides you through it and asks you various questions about the overall building efficiency, building envelope, heating and cooling equipment, lighting, domestic hot water. And it uses all of those components to determine what incentive the entire building should qualify for. We will be discontinuing prescriptive equipment incentives for multifamily new construction, meaning that customers will need to follow the product and equipment performance path to qualify and participate in the new construction incentive opportunities. You can see there's a couple different rates here. We've got a good, better, best. As you can probably imagine, the further along you move towards that best, the more energy efficiency opportunities they've incorporated into the design. We do have additional incentives if it's a multifamily property with conditioned garages. And then I don't have this noted here, but there are also additional incentives for ground source heat pumps as well as variable refrigerant flow for multifamily new construction. Next slide. On the rural side, we will continue to have incentives and new opportunities available for industrial and healthcare customers who are in the rural zip codes. We aren't making any changes to our existing offerings. That staffing incentive will still be available, which provides an additional 20% up to $25,000. And then we'll continue to have the rural industrial striving for efficiency, which is similar to FCM, where customers can receive incentives for no and low cost measures. We'll provide that additional support to customers with some on-site or virtual help. And then they'll also have access to some incentives for training that they attend. We also have a new healthcare offering plan for Q1 of 2022, and we'll share more details as those ideas are finalized. And then lastly, this list is not comprehensive, but I wanted to take an opportunity to reiterate some of the other offerings and opportunities customers have, which is retro commissioning, the small business online assessment. We've got our Renew Our Schools Energy Challenge. We've got the first one coming up in January. We'll have another one in June, which we'll be recruiting customers for soon. And then we'll also have our pump assessment for wastewater and agribusinesses. As for pilots, we have the virtual commissioning pilot. That was something that we worked with Xcel Energy on this year, and we had a very great experience working with those customers, some early success that we've seen already. That targets those small to medium-sized customers, and it delivers energy savings through schedule optimization, setback, setup, and lighting control scheduling, which is unique in that these are typically low and no-cost measures that don't require an investment for many of these customers, making it a really appealing opportunity for many of them. The unique thing about this is we work directly with the utility to receive the customer's AMI data, and then our team goes through that data, identifies who's a good candidate for that, and then proceeds with engaging with that customer individually, talking about their facility, understanding their building patterns, and then supporting them up until they complete the implementation of those changes. The other unique thing about this pilot is we have the opportunity to verify the energy savings. So we take their pre-implementation or measure implementation data and post, and then really can quantify what impacts those changes have, which we can then follow up with the customer. It's also a really good opportunity for us to identify other opportunities for them using some of those low and no cost options to eventually lead into some bigger potential projects for them. So that's something we're looking to continue partnering with a new utility for next year. Upcoming opportunities, we've got a few things rolling out to all customers. We'll have a competitive incentive RFP that should be launching very shortly. We're still planning on having that go out this year. That will give customers an opportunity to apply for additional incentives to help overcome some of the barriers that they're facing in getting those projects to move forward, which most cases is financial. And there will be 3 competitive cycles the first one being in December, and then there'll be 2 more in 2022. We'll also have a whole building tune-up opportunity, which will be targeting customers who are not quite interested in doing retro commissioning, but they have a building automation system, and there will be a group of predetermined measures that they could look at making adjustments or repairs to their building automation system. That will also be ready for the first of the year. Then we also have a laboratory energy efficiency offering, which will target private and public labs and look at measures like fume hoods, air filtration, controls, and lighting. And then lastly, we'll have a natural disaster bonus. This is an opportunity for Focus and the Office of Energy Innovation to partner to really help those customers who've been impacted by natural disasters in the last 12 months. We'll be able to offer some additional incentives to those customers, and that will also be ready for January. For schools and government customers particularly, there's a few new opportunities that we'll be launching. One is the project planning bonus for schools, which will provide some additional incentives as part of taking a proactive approach to looking ahead and planning out their energy projects. They will actually meet with an energy advisor, develop that project list, and then as they complete projects on that list, they'll be eligible for some additional incentives for those projects. We'll be doing something similar for tribes as well. However, there'll be some additional incentives available for tribes as part of this different offering. Then we'll have a project development incentive, which is very similar to a project assessment incentive, other than it's really much more comprehensive look. It's not specific to a project. It's really taking a comprehensive look at all opportunities within tribal entities, and it will include both energy efficiency and renewable energy projects. And then lastly, we've got benchmarking. That was something we were hoping to launch this year, but timing-wise, it just made more sense for us to launch it at the beginning of 2022. And that will provide incentives for schools who will benchmark their facilities for 12 months and then participate in a cohort or training thereafter. So we're really excited about these new opportunities and new offerings and ready to get them going at the start of the year. And then lastly, for renewables on the business side, one of the exciting things we've got going on is with the Renewable Energy Competitive Incentive Program, known as RECIP, which is the opportunity for customers to apply for incentives for a biogas, biomass, wind, or solar thermal projects. We'll be transitioning over to a custom incentive structure effective January 1. This will provide more opportunities for customers to apply, which we're really excited for. We do have incentive rates that will vary slightly from our existing custom rates. I have those noted there. One of the other differentiators between this for the renewables versus our traditional custom is that we will have a higher payback range. Renewables typically just have a higher investment, longer payback, so that adjustment is being made to accommodate for more projects to qualify using a custom structure. Like our customs, though, we will limit the incentive to 50% of the project cost, and that same incentive cap will be used, which is $300,000 per project. For solar PV, our prescriptive incentives will remain the same. Customers can still receive up to that $50,000, and there will remain that match for agricultural producers, which is an additional $10,000, bringing that total to up to $60,000. And then we also have that special sector enhanced incentive, which is available to nonprofits, schools, government, Native American tribes and nations, which offers incentives up to $81,000. And then Dylan had mentioned that we are looking at solar ready incentives for new construction as well. So that would apply to both business and residential. With that, I will hand it over to Sherry to talk about training.
Thank you so much. Wanted to just highlight a bit of what had gone on in 2021 and then evolving into 2022. Really saw some solid participation in 2021. We had brought on a new vendor called Questline, and they offer various gas-focused and electric featured 1-hour webinars, about 50 minutes of content, and then Q&A time. Really saw some strong participation in that, so we'll be partnering again with them in 2022. Those are live instructor-led webinars and led by a CEM engineer that's really very versed in all facets of energy efficiency. So really great to have them as a partner. Those sessions are recorded and available online for a calendar year after the live delivery. So if you're one that really likes to have the live discussion and just consume training that way, we have that available. But then those that maybe for whatever reason at the factory or whatever might be going on need to watch the video, the recording that is also available. We do continue to target in-person sessions. We know that various learners like to receive this information in various ways. We did see a little bit of hesitancy continuing in 2021 with the few courses we did offer in person, but definitely are planning to do additional courses this year in 2022, going to be with Design Lights. Again, being a hands-on class, the partners we have on that one, he brings in information and equipment, and they literally design and hook up a lighting system, so that's really helpful. The building automation system, we continue to partner with UW-Madison. That's been really successful. We're targeting the building automation systems in September, as well as an industrial refrigeration session with a industry tour that is targeted for November. More information will be coming about some of these things as well. For those that had not had a chance to peek out on our website, we do have a link to our learning management system. These are some canned up classes that are available 24/7 on demand, anything from air sealing to operations and maintenance, continuously adding classes out there. So if you had not had a chance to peek at that, that is always available. For tracking purposes, we do ask that anyone utilizing that would need to create a login and registration. So trying to do some additional items there that are available on demand. And again, we do continue to partner with BOC and provide some scholarship dollars on that, looking at a session to begin in February or March of 2022, still finalizing some things. We partner with MIA on that. Again, with successful completion of that session, we are able to offer full scholarship tuition back to the participants. So that's a really good opportunity there, possibly working with Courtney and partnering with those teams on some tribe items in the fall that is still under development. We are planning to have the course calendar for 2022 published out to our website in the next business day, similar to this year, and based on our tracking mechanisms, we found that the first quarter is really a high time for people to consume training. So we definitely want to front load the year that way. Take a bit of a pause in the summer with school getting out, family vacations, things going on at plant and projects and commercial areas. So take a little bit of a backlog there while folks are attending to other things, and then back at it in the fall. So additional sessions will be added. We're continuously evaluating what might be available there. And so with that, I will turn it back to Matt.
Great. Thanks, Jerry. Really appreciate it. All right, moving right along. Just wanted to share some information about our future focus initiatives, which is our research and development and innovation. What I've shown here is the list of our completed EERD research projects. All these projects were completed this year, and there were reports and presentations that were provided. Some of you are likely attended some of those presentations, but all of them are now posted on our website under the link provided there. And we had a really informative group of researchers that provided a lot of information that's going to be helpful for us as we think about additional measures that we want for the program, or program design and delivery changes. And we really want to make sure that the focus program evolves to meet the changing market and the interest of your customers. So encourage you to also take a look at the final reports here in the presentations, and please let us know if there's additional information you would like regarding those topics. I also wanted to remind you that we encourage your ideas for program modifications and for the program to think about. This Future Focus initiative is led by our capable partners at the EIC, and we, together with them, instituted a kind of a crowdsourcing approach to encourage and solicit ideas from the market, from implementers, from our utility partners, from vendors, and it's really worked well. We're getting quite a bit of interest and submissions. We have a form stack on our website in which you can easily fill out your idea and submit it, and our teams will evaluate and look at it and get back to you. Some examples of things that we've currently are under review are what I categorize as our kind of smart technology. There's always a growing interest in figuring out, how can Focus integrate and utilize all the smart devices and applications that are proliferating throughout our society. We're looking at virtual home energy assessments, smart home applications. Dylan mentioned incentives for water heaters now. There's a smart water heater controller that might be of interest for us to incentivize along with a water heater. So really a lot of good ideas that we're looking at right now, and again, encourage you to participate in this process. All right, with that, I'm going to turn it over to Chris, who will talk about marketing.
Good morning. I'm Chris Schultz-Beekner. I'm the Director of Marketing and Communications, and I wanted to share a little bit of what's going to be planned for next year. What you see here is our new plan for a brand awareness campaign for 2022. We're going to move away from the Wisconsin is in, and we're going to move on to Focus On. And we really look at this campaign as a way to easily connect the Focus on Energy program and the name and the benefits with our end use customers. There's so many ways that we can connect with them through this campaign. We think it's very dynamic, and we're going to start digitally. And here are a few examples of how that may play out. You might see focus on your business. You could see focus on your home, focus on the future. If you go to the next slide. Here you see a lot of the words that we've come up with as planned for using in the marketing campaign. So we worked with the implementers to determine what kinds of words would you be using in your campaigns to talk about focus on for your different audiences. And if you look here, you'll see a wide variety of groupings of words. So it's anything from benefits, so focusing on different benefits, focusing on different sectors. We're focusing on technologies. You can focus on specific areas of business or residential, as well as focusing on support. And so as you look at some of these words, when I think of support, I think of completing your incentive application or choosing an HVAC contractor. So you could focus on choosing an HVAC contractor. You can focus on the benefits of focus on comfort or safety. So I think this campaign will really allow the implementers and the general brand to really shine through as we start to move into a new area of advertising and brand awareness. Next slide. Some of the things that you'll see in the next year are some of these campaigns that are shown here for Q1 and Q2. As in the past, we try to share with you as many of the planned activities that will come up during the year. As you may remember, there are many things that come through from seasonality, like an Earth Day or summer cooling or winter heating. Q1 and Q2 here, you'll see that there are a variety of opportunities for you to receive information and share with your customers. We'll make sure that we share these as they come available in the newsletter, as well as sharing assets and images. And if you're interested in doing more than that, letting us know, and we can do that as well. If you go to the next slide. This is kind of where we also are looking ahead to Q3 and Q4. So, of course, some of this may adjust, we may add depending on what we're able to accomplish, but this gives you a high-level idea of the topics that we're planning to focus on, as well as the type of marketing assets that would be available to you. Next slide. As Matt mentioned at the beginning of this session, we talked about the 20th anniversary celebration. Unfortunately, we weren't able to meet this year. We really wanted to, but we really wanted to do it face to face. And so we've postponed to May 11th of next year. It'll be here before you know it. We still plan to be up by Lambeau Field. We're looking at being in the Johnsonville Tailgate Village. We're working through logistics and what kind of agenda we'll have for the day. So that'll be, we'll share that with you as we have that more fleshed out. And then, of course, your utility and cooperative partners, all of you are encouraged to attend. So be sure to pass any invitations on to your other colleagues that may be interested in participating in that event. Next slide, I'm going to pass it over to Matt.
Great, thanks, Chris. Yeah, let's see. Well, this is an exciting review of our public relations efforts. It's really a major part of our PR efforts during the year, and this is our Energy Efficiency Excellence Awards that we give to businesses and organizations and to recognize their exceptional work in saving energy and sustainability and their partnership with utilities and with focus on energy. This past year, we presented 12 awards. Each of those award winners, the details of the projects they were involved in, and the results of the energy savings are captured in an interactive map that we have available on our website. We also have links to videos of the presentations and news release provided through that interactive map. We had, except for a couple presentations earlier in the year, we were able to present these awards in person at your customer site. And most of the in-person and the virtual presentations were attended by not only our utility representatives, but also elected officials, commission staff. We had the chair of the Public Service Commission and other commissioners present some of the awards. And for the very first time, I think in program history, we had a governor, Governor Evers, present one of the awards. There's a picture of them. It's kind of hard to see probably on this screen, but Governor Evers presented the Focus Excellence Award to Beloit College. Beloit had a really interesting project that they worked on with Focus, in which they converted an old Alliant Energy coal-fired power plant into a student union and utilized geothermal, which used the water from the adjacent Rock River as their source. And the governor really jumped at the chance to be part of this presentation. And there's a picture of him with, second from the left, president of Beloit College, on the left, Scott Bierman, Alliance president of the Wisconsin Power and Light, Dave DeLeon is second from the right, and PSC chair Rebecca Bach there on the right, far right. So really nice event. Got a lot of media attention, local TV and newspapers, and really brought attention to not only the good work of Beloit College and their sustainability efforts, but also the support they received from their utility, Alliant Energy. We're going to continue with these awards. They're very popular. Again, they're one of our primary public relations efforts throughout the year. We're going to continue them into next year. We're also going to call out separately our trade ally partners and ask for nominations from our utilities, also from our implementers, to recognize trade allies who've really performed well and have provided excellent customer service and have been an important part of the success of the program. So we're going to have a new for 2022 is a Trade Ally Contractor Excellence Awards. So more to come on that, and we hope you can participate and think about some trade allies that you'd like to nominate. Another exciting project this year was the production of a series of videos highlighting the Focus program and its work with utilities and various businesses and trade allies. And our digital engagement team, led by John Landowski and Ron Jordan, worked with Discover Wisconsin to produce these videos. I know my teammates are going to be disappointed that I'm not going to be able to run this video. They had it all set up for me, but when I was trying it earlier, the sound wasn't working too well. So I really encourage you, though, to go to Focus on Energy YouTube channel. All these videos are posted there. They're about 4 to 5 minutes long. The one I wanted to show you today features a video with a couple of our utility partners, Superior Water, Light, and Power. We had Harper Brixen from the utility talk about the work with one of their customers in Superior and how they were able to leverage Focus resources and combine them with the utility resources to really provide a good service to their customer. We also, in this video, feature our design assistance program, our new construction program, in which we provided assistance to the Sun Prairie School District, together with Sun Prairie Utilities, who had some additional incentives available. And we have Clint Cry featured in this video, who's an energy services manager with Sun Prairie Utilities, talk about that relationship and how we were able to really create a program that was well received by the Sun Prairie School District for 2 of their new schools. So again, really encourage you to go to our YouTube channel to look at these videos. They're really well done. And the Discover Wisconsin and our team did a fantastic job of producing these videos. Okay, with that, I'm going to turn it over to Frank, who can talk about some of the resources we have available and other initiatives he's working on.
Good morning. I'm Frank Barth, Stakeholder Manager with the Focus program. And so what I'd like to do is just review some of the resources we have available to utilities and sort of highlight some of the things we did this year to collaborate with utilities to promote solutions to their customers and members. And the first thing I wanted to go over is the quick site reports. For those of you who are doing a year-end report, just want to remind you that every year we do some what's known as backdating. So, for example, for the direct-to-customer solutions, we've got applications for packs and other things coming in right to the end of the month of December, and some of that doesn't get processed until January. So if you want that to be all included in your report, I would suggest you wait until maybe the end of January to run your report. For some utilities, it could be a big number, and for some it may not be much at all. Now, some changes we made to the quick site reports on the front page dashboard. So on that dashboard, you have the graph for incentives that you see at the bottom here. And right below that, we added another graph. Looks pretty much the same, except for it shows kilowatt hours. So you can have both of those show both incentives and energy savings. And so if you need to export that to put into a report, then you can show both in that report. And another change we made is when you look at the by program tab in that front page report, you see the graph here. We've added column totals. So, you can export that into Excel and the totals will be there, or you can do a snapshot and put that into a report as well. And then, as always, if you're a participating utility and you don't have a quick site reports account, just contact me and we'll get an account set up for you. Next slide. All right, utility marketing resources. So just reminding you all that we have this utility marketing resources store here. and we have program marketing materials or solutions available to you at no charge in limited quantities. Most of them you can order from 50 to 1,000, depending on the piece. And a lot of them are co-brandable with your utility logo. And you can request custom pieces or quantities. And you should know that we're updating materials for next year now, and I would expect that all the materials should be updated, by the end of January, early February. And then, like we did last year, we're going to be sending out care packages to utilities for their lobby with materials that they can share with walk-in customers, like the residential and business energy guides, residential overview, business overview, and then also the utility partners guidebooks. And again, if you don't have an account for the store, just let me or Matt know, or you've had some changeover in personnel and you need that new person to have an account. Again, let us know and we'll get an account set up for you. Next. Okay, virtual pop-up events. These are pretty popular this year. We set up the virtual pop-up events to replace our on-site events after COVID hit, and they've gone over pretty well. So we're looking to book events for next year for commercial and industrial customers to host for their employees, or utility co-op customer appreciation events. We did a few of those this year as well. We do provide marketing content so you can promote the event to your customers or members. There's no cost to host the event. We usually run the event for 2 weeks or more, depending on your billing cycle. And I guess I should explain what it is for those of you who don't know. So a virtual pop-up is basically an online event where your customers or members can purchase discounted light bulbs and other energy saving items for a specific period of time. The store is co-branded for your utility, and again, pretty popular last year. And if you want to see a sample site, there's a link here, and so we'll be posting this presentation on the website, and so you can access a sample page via this link. And if you're interested, you've got a customer or a customer appreciation event, you're thinking about hosting a VPU, just let Jake Dixon or me know. And then what we usually do is we'll set up a quick meeting or a conference call with you to run through it, and so you can see what it all entails and if this is something that's going to be right for you. Next slide. So free packs, as Dylan mentioned, eligibility is now 1 pack per calendar year, and the Advanced Power Strip pack is back. And so we have a new full-page co-brandable bill insert that you can see on the right here that includes that Advanced Power Strip. And then what we do is on the back side of this, we also include the residential overview, so they not only see what packs they can order, but they can see the other residential offerings as well. This piece is co-brandable with the utility logo. If you don't want a full page, you can go with a 3rd page, and that has packs on one side and the online marketplace on the other, and it is also co-brandable. We also provide newsletter or ad content if that is something that works better for you. All right, free packs promotion. So this graph here shows packs orders by month throughout the year through November. And so we worked with quite a few utilities this year to target customers either via bill inserts or direct mail or email or social media. And we find that that works really well. We get higher participation rates when the message is coming from the utility. because folks they trust their utility and they're less likely to think that this is some sort of a scam. And so when we look here and we look to the end here and we see this big spike, this was a result of collaboration we did with Alliant, and what they did is they targeted customers that were newly eligible based on the new rules with a postcard. And then they also did some target marketing via email, and we helped them get that information. And because of that, and because it was co-branded, we saw a really good response rate. I think this amounts to, for that campaign, about 20,000 PAX orders. And I believe the response rate was about 10%. And in general, when we collaborate with a utility, whether it's a bill insert or something co-brandable, we see on average at a minimum 5% response rate, sometimes as high as 8 to 10%. So the message here is it's always better when that when that message comes from the utility and we collaborate with you to get that message out to your customers. All right, and then I just want to highlight one thing we did this year. I call it a pilot. It wasn't an official pilot, but it involves utility key account engagement. And this really isn't anything new. I mean, we've been working with utilities for years to engage with their key accounts, but we decided we wanted to maybe expand that with other utilities and possibly make it more of a formal and continuous process. So we worked with one municipal utility and put together an engagement plan. And the goal of the pilot was to promote the collaboration between the utilities and the focus staff, or the energy advisors. And we wanted to reinforce or enhance the idea of focus as a service for utilities. We're not just incentives. And identify the utility key accounts. And when I say that, every utility is different. And so we're not talking just about, large energy customers. Depending on the utility, the local, whatever mom and pop store could be a key account for them. So we want them to tell us who their key accounts are. And then we want to cultivate or enhance the relationship with the business and industry customers. And so that means between the customers and the utility and focus. And of course, we want to increase participation in the business and industry programs. So the results of the pilot, we worked with the utilities key account manager, and we met with him and the focus energy advisors to discuss engagement strategies. The utility, they identified their key accounts and they targeted some for engagement. And then the key account manager led the initial outreach communications to those customers. And then on-site visits were arranged with 12 of those commercial industrial customers. And the visits really resulted in improved communications with those customers and led to discoveries and improvements that will definitely reduce their energy bills. And so we are looking forward to continue this and expanding these type of engagement efforts next year. And that's all I have for today.
Great. Thank you, Frank. And that brings us to the end here. Not sure if there were any questions queued up. Again, I don't have visibility to that, or if anyone has questions, they can unmute their mic and ask. Otherwise, again, this presentation, the recording of the presentation, and also the slide presentation will be available on our website. It'll be on the utility resources page. You can navigate to that from our homepage under the About tab. There'll be a drop down and you can select utility resources. Should have it up by the end of this week. If you have any questions after this, always reach out to myself or Frank or others on our team. We're more than glad to help you answer those questions you have. So, okay, with that, thank you very much for your time. And we look forward to working with you the rest of this year and into next. Don't be a stranger. We love to interact with you, so feel free to reach out if you have any questions. And have a happy holiday season. Thank you.